You can use, and we all have it, the like couple rolls of the really thin like value mesh. Most of it's made from Taiwan and it's really thin. I again have another roll, and what it is now, this has got a bit of a sparkle in it. It's kind of striped, white striped, but it's really see-through, and I probably wouldn't use it for any other thing. I had it sitting in my craft closet forever, and I thought this would be a perfect time to use it because the flower pretty much gets covered by the ribbon pieces that we're going to put on. And I'm going to use 4 different ribbons tonight, and I'll show you. And I'm going to kind of make the flower elegant looking, and we'll put this bling center in it. It will look fabulous. Now, if you want to make it more fun, you could put a dip, because black and white, pretty much anything goes with black and white. You can do yellow. I have some kind of pink center I made over here. Where is it? So there's a hot pink. You could pretty much use any color center you want with a black and white flower. But like I said, I did a fun one in the yellow yesterday. So today I'm going to do a more elegant one. So I went down to my ribbon stash and opened ribbons. I just love to look at them. I really don't want to use them because they're just so pretty all the time, right? So what I got was, I got this, and these are all 2.5-inch ribbon rolls that I'm using. I think a lot of this came from Craft Outlet, but if you go on to Deco Exchange has a ton of gorgeous ribbons, a ton of it. So if you want to make a certain color, you could just use 2 ribbons. I think this yellow one, I only used 3 ribbons. I used a pure striped one, a ribbon that has like a daisy on it, and another ribbon here that's kind of got the solid at the side and striped down the middle. And I was going more for a sun look with that one, so I used 3. You can use just 2 if you want, 2 ribbon colors, or you can use 4 like me and make it really fun. So I am doing a checkered, a white and black polka dot, a black with white, I called it bubbles, it kind of looks like bubbles, and this linen one that has like a flower motif sort of on it. And I'm going to alternate between the 4 colors. Now with the Unique in the Creek wreathing frames, you can print out, sorry I'm a mess here, you can print out on our website. We do have blank patterns, so you can actually pre-do your pattern on the paper first, so you can kind of count how many petals you need, how many pieces of ribbon, and etc., and write on the actual paper and make yourself a pattern. So if you needed to make a couple of these like yellow ones, if you wrote down your pattern and you kept it, don't throw it away and just write the title, you know, yellow ribbon, you know, sun. Then you'll know how to recreate it every time. Even if somebody orders it, you know, next year or something, just go refer back to your pattern and you'll know exactly what you used. So it's pretty nifty like that. Here I have my scribble. And this one's pretty simple because we're using 4 different ribbons, so it's pretty much alternating. What does that say?
Don't forget Deco Exchange has great ribbon too.
I said that.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear it. I seen somebody in the comments.
Oh yeah, I just said, oh yeah, Dave just passed me a note like we're in middle school. Don't forget to say Deco Exchange. Deco Exchange does have great ribbon.
Somebody said it. I didn't
Oh no, I did say it.
Sorry. Okay.
And they have mesh. Tonight we're going to be using 10-inch mesh. I'm just using cheap, yucky mesh that I had stashed in my cupboard that I'm not even going to use anymore, or I probably wouldn't use for anything else. But like I said, we're going to cover it all up. So value mesh, the mesh is just basically to give it the volume. So value mesh is perfect for this. So this is my scribble on my pattern. So I have an M on the legend, which means mesh. So I could count how many pieces of mesh I needed. F for my flower ribbon. P for my polka dot ribbon, B for my bubble ribbon, and C for my checkered ribbon. And they're all cut here. So you can have that for reference. And you can print it, once you download it onto your computer, you can print as many as you want. We also have the pattern sheets for the tree board and the character board. And the small flower frame will be in plastic sometime this week, hopefully. The large one got lost in transit, the mold. So the mold is on its way. It should have landed in Canada today. So hopefully the plastic boards will be out and flowing by the end of the week. And they will be on Amazon by next week. Okay, so now with the flower board, this isn't just for flowers, okay? We use the flower board, we just call it the flower board because it's used for flowers a lot. But you can use it for all different other things. I've done a peacock with Derica's wreath designs with her peacock head and her flamingo and everything. And it actually, when she was designing it, I was actually the one that asked her if she could please design, you know, a peacock and a thing to fit right in the center of these 4 holes on the board. And she did fabulous. It was spot on. So the head would go here, and then the 2 legs just joined right here, and it was perfect. So they're great for wreath attachments. We also put you can put signs on them. I just made this is all, I'll show you this because this is pretty fabulous, I think. This was made out of Dollar Tree plastic tablecloths. Yes, I said Dollar Tree tablecloths. One tablecloth, it had flamingos in like a fiesta print, and the other tablecloth was just a solid pink. And you can get these tablecloths at Dollar Tree in the seasonal section. So you know where all the summer plates and all that stuff are. They're in there. And then I also bought a little bush of hibiscus at Dollar Tree. So I put 3 hibiscus here and 3 hibiscus here. So I only used 1 bush. This sign came from, I believe, Craft Outlet, but all kinds of places have it. Trendy Tree, the Wreath Shop, Craft Outlet. I think Scott Waterman, Waterman's Loft may have had it, and I'm not sure if Deco Exchange had it either, but it just says welcome, and it's got a flamingo. And all we did was, instead of wiring your frames on, I don't know if you can see it, but you just cut a little piece of styrofoam. I don't have a piece here. Oh, yes, I do. From the Dollar Tree, and it's a styrofoam block. And I just slice a little piece on it. I put hot glue, and I glue the styrofoam right to the board, so it's right in the center, right here. And then I put hot glue on the styrofoam with the sign. And you put something with weight on it and hold it down for a little bit. And there you go. You have a sign right on your frame. So it's really easy to mount them. And it doesn't squish down all your deco mesh and everything. Now I did this more as a flower style because I was using tablecloth and it's the easiest to do. But you can do any style you want. This was very inexpensive to do. I got just a few pieces of flamingo ribbon in here, and that was it. I think in total, including the cost of the board, if you paid full price for the board, the total cost cost $15 to make this whole thing. And it is about 24 inches in diameter. So not bad, and it's really fun, and I'm going to put this by my pool. I am. And that's the back. So there's no covering up your back of your freight wreaths, and it's no scratching, so it won't scratch anything, won't scratch the door. And I use mostly zip ties with my creations, just because I have like almost like a carpal tunnel where it's hard for me to twist my zip ties or my twist ties. And I actually just like zip ties because they last a long time, and they're plastic as well. So if you're using a completely deco mesh wreath and you want to put it right outside in the weather, you'll have no problem because everything is plastic. and the boards are 100% recycled plastic. So they are made from, get this one, they're made from yogurt containers. What? Yeah, so they do something to refine the yogurt containers. They grind it down and they process it, and we get it all shipped to our factory, and they make our frames with them. So they're green, and not only are we reusing garbage, we're reusing garbage to make something like gorgeous. So I think that's really, really cool. All right, so we are gonna start this thing now, since I yipped on. Okay, so we want to, on the frame, you'll see there's a row 1. It says 1. Honey, can you come in just a little bit to the board? Sorry, Dave's my cameraman. Everybody knows Dave. What, honey? What are you doing? I just asked you to. Okay. So on the board, there's 5 circumferences. The outside, and you'll see a faint line on the outside of the board. And there's a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. And this is really good for when you're teaching, doing workshops and stuff, because you can refer to each circumference, and it's much easier to say, okay, we're working on row number 1. People will know because there's an actual 1, 2, 3, 4. So it really is easy like that. And the front of the board is where the numbers are, because the back of the board doesn't have the numbers. It just has our logo, our website, and Made in Canada. So this is just for the actual wreath makers' eyes only. So they won't, the person that buys it from you won't even know. Another thing with our boards as well is, especially if you're doing craft shows, I tell all our viewers or wreath makers to always put a sticker or even tape their business card to the back of your frames. Our frames are great because you can actually do that. It's a little harder with a wire frame to do this, but if you get yourself, you know, a sticker and have your logo on it and your website or your Etsy store or wherever, anything, so that the person that bought your wreath, because they will have people come to the door and say, oh my gosh, that wreath is so beautiful, where can I get one? And normal answer is, oh, I bought it at a craft show and I'm not sure what the person's name was. This way, if you do sell it and you put something on the back of your board, they just have to flip over the wreath and say, oh, here's where you can contact the lady to get yourself one of these roses or whatever. So I always try to stress that. When you become a bigger wreath maker, you probably don't need to do that because you'll have you know, a customer base. But especially at craft shows, people just buy stuff. They have no idea what your business name is and what your actual name is. So that's a good way to market your wreaths. I know when I was selling wreaths, I did it in craft shows. I did it all the time and always got referrals back from, oh, my friend so-and-so bought a wreath from the craft show and I want one too. Perfect. Easy peasy. Okay, so that's a great thing to do. I just wanted to quickly show. So this wreath frame, all our flowers are made with the same frame, okay, with the large frame or the small frame. And it's just the pattern that you use with the different holes that makes each flower different. So this flower is made on the same board as this rose. Okay, you can see this rose. It's just different petals and how we've put the actual petals and folded the rose and everything. So it's the exact same board, because some people are really confused. It's the same board, it's just different folds. Okay, so if you had any questions about that, because I do have about 14 or 15 different flowers that I've taught on the flower board, And I always get questions on, well, which board do I use? And for the flower board, it's always, or for the flowers, it's always the flower board. It may be the smaller one if you want a smaller flower, but it's always this flower board, okay? Just made different ways. So I've done daffodils, I've done a peony, I've done sunflowers, and another thing we've done at Unique in the Creek as well is you guys have probably seen it. This is a flower and it's on the flower board, and we've called it the Unique in the Creek spinner because we've done both sides. Okay, can you see that? It is one board. So what you do, I did do a video on it, and you just, can you zoom out just a little bit, honey? I'm sorry. Really? Didn't turn my ringer off, sorry. I'm just not prepared here. Okay, so the spinner, you can hang it on your porch, and this actually has lights in it as well, so the lights turn on and off. And it is done on this frame, and we've just done on both sides. So it's one frame, just both sides done. And you can make yourself a spinner. We've seen a really cool one somebody did with one side was one football team and the other side was the other football team because it was a divided house, and it spins. It was awesome. Great idea. So, like I said, those tutorials are on our Facebook page, Unique in the Creek. We do have a YouTube channel with 100 and something tutorials. Right now it's got hacked. It's still up, but we just haven't been able to load any of the newer videos that I've done. So you can still get the videos from there. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to get started. What we're going to do is on row 1, there is 2 holes that are indented, or it's called chamfered. And those are going to be our hanging holes. They don't match any of the other holes, and like I said, they do have an indent in it. And you can use string, you can use ribbon to make a hanger. I always use the zip tie because the zip tie is plastic, and I always have them handy. I always have a zip tie around. So I just put the zip tie between the 2 holes and made myself a little hanger. Clip that off. Okay, there we go. So now we are going to get our mesh. So I cut my mesh in 10 by 10 pieces. So I cut the whole roll, and we are going to need 40 pieces, which is the whole roll at 10 by 10. Okay, I didn't use a wood burner or anything like that because we're not going to see the sides where the frays are anyways with this petal. So I don't waste my time. Pretty much the only flower I do use a wood burner on is the sunflower, when you can actually see the cut edges. And that the wood burner or the bag sealer just prevents further fraying because it kind of melts the ends, okay? I don't wood burn or bag seal without a respirator or in a really well ventilated area, and I don't suggest you do that either because you are burning plastic, which is toxic. So just don't do it. Just be safe. Use your PPE, personal protection equipment. Okay, so you're going to have your whole roll cut 10 by 10. So 10 by 10 pieces, okay? You're going to take your 10 by 10 piece and you're going to turn it into a diamond, and you want the curl facing up because the deco mesh has a natural curl to it, and we want it shaped up like a U. Normally you would face it down if you're going to make a ruffle. This time we're going to face it up, okay? And then you're going to take your corner, bring it down to your other corner, just like that, so it's the shape of a triangle or an umbrella almost. And then when you do that, you're going to put your corner to the side here. I just give it a little tug here, and you're going to bring one side and bring it right down to the middle, and you're going to do the same with the other side, and you're making a petal that looks like this. Okay, so you've taken it so it looks like an umbrella. You bring one side straight down, the other side straight down, and then we're going to scrunch it about an inch up on the tail. And I use clothespins to keep it closed. It gives me extra hands here, and I use clothespins for everything. They're my favorite accessory for wreathing. Okay, and you're going to take your board. Now, before you start your flower, what you're going to want to do is preload your board. Preloading your board means adding your zip ties. Now, for this particular flower, we're going to want our zip tie closed, which means you're going to go, each hole has, there's 2 holes per each section here. What you're going to do is go down one hole, come back up the corresponding one, and you're going to do a little zip. Okay, you'll hear it lock, and when you pull, you can't open it. You can try and do it backwards. It is really hard to do it backwards, so if you don't put the tail in the flat side of the zip tie, you will not hear that zipping sound, and it will not lock. But it is a bit difficult to put it in backwards if you're using really good zip ties. And you can see I really can't do it. But if I go the other way, you'll hear zip, and it won't undo. So what you're going to do is you're going to preload section 2, 3, and 4 for this flower. Okay, and I'm not going to do this right now because I've already done it on the other board, but I just wanted to show you. You're going to go around and do all these holes, and section 4. Section 5 you don't need to do. We're not going to be using section 5 for this particular flower. Okay, and then once you got your board all preloaded, you are going to have something that looks like this. Okay, so we're all ready to go to put our flower petals and our ribbons in. Okay, now the ribbons I'm using, I said I was at the beginning, I was using 4 different ribbons. I'm keeping it black and white themed flower, and I've gone flower, polka dot, bubble, check. So it'll be flower, polka dot, bubble, check, flower, polka dot, bubble, check, all the way around, and then I'll continue on section 3 and section 4 the same method with alternating the 4 different colors.
What size zip ties are you using?
These zip ties, I always use an 18-pound zip tie, and that means they are thin, so they're not the big, heavy, monstrous ones. That's really overkill and actually doesn't make a very good flower or wreath. And these are 18-inch. Now, these particular ones are 6 inches long. I do use 8-inch as well, depending on what supplier I get delivered. One has 8, one has 6. The actual length of it doesn't matter as much as the poundage of it. So 18 pound is very lightweight, but it's perfect for what we're doing for the crafts, and it's a lot cheaper. Okay, you move up to like 40 pounds, I believe, is the next 10 style, and they're more expensive and you don't get as many or whatever. So if you can use between 6-inch and 10-inch length, because the length really doesn't matter, and 18 pound, you're gold. You can use pipe cleaners as well with any of the flowers. Like I said, I always use zip ties. You'll see how fast I go through this. I just zip it all up, but you can, however, use zip ties, especially if you're using a lot of different ribbons in each section. So it would be kind of like a wireframe, you know, when you're doing the twists and everything. You could do the same thing. You just put your pipe cleaner down through one hole, up through the other, and just do it normally. But like I said, I think I've done one wreath just to show everybody using pipe cleaners. Pretty much everything else is always zip ties. What were you saying, hon?
Are they 14-inch ribbons?
Yeah, I'm going to go through it right now. Okay, so we went through the mesh. So it's 10 by 10. We're using the mesh, and like I said, I'm using a very, not the greatest mesh, but as you can see, you really don't see it. It just kind of peeks out between the ribbons, and it just gives it some fullness. Now, the ribbon pieces I'm using, I am cutting my ribbons 14 inches, okay? So you can count, when you do your pattern, you can actually count how many ribbon pieces you're going to need, which is really nice because I do all my wreathing in my lap, in my recliner. So I pre-do all my supplies, bring them over to my recliner and throw a movie on and make my wreath while I'm watching TV. It's just, I actually invented these forms for myself, who I am disabled. I can't sit sedentary like I am at a table right now, like most people. So I had to find a way that I could do wreathing in my lap. And it was really hard using the wireframe, and that's why, you know, after about, I think I'm on my 5th year using them, I finally came up with this and the different other boards. Okay, so you're going to take your 14-inch piece, and we are going to cut. Now, normally you would cut a dovetail. For this, we are going to do the complete opposite. Now, I know some of you have probably done this at the beginning stages of your wreathing. You've cut your ribbon the wrong way and it looks like a tie. For this wreath, we want it to look like a tie because we want it kind of pointed to kind of look like flower petals. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your 14-inch piece, you're going to fold it in half, okay, and then you're going to fold it in half again, and you're going to go from your folded end or your folded side straight down. Now normally when you're dovetailing, you go from your folded side up to the corner. This way we're going from the folded side down, and this is what you get. So it kind of looks like a necktie. Okay, we want all our ribbons to look like this. So 14 inches with pointy ends. I don't even know if this is called a certain cut or anything. Normally you don't cut your ribbons like that. So
Fray?
no, it doesn't fray. And I am using wired ribbon. I get that all the time, but yes, I'm using wired ribbon. So I'm just going to cut my ends. Now I have done most of the other ribbons. And there we go. So if you can get yourself all prepped and ready to go and have everything nice and organized, this, to make the actual wreath, you can make it in no time. Okay, so we're ready to go. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your petal that you just did. Now you can use, you can show the seam side if you want up. I prefer to have the seam side down. It's just preference. There's no rhyme or reason. I'm going to stick the tail. Actually, I'm going to trim a little bit of the tail because it is a bit long. So if you trim about 1/2 inch off to keep it nice and neat, you're going to stick your tail down towards the center. Now, I just put a clothespin, right on the end. And we are going to be using a flower print ribbon. So you're just going to fold it in half. And where you fold it in half, you're going to scrunch it on the fold and flip it upwards. So this is what you have. Now you're going to take this folded part and you're going to stick that into the zip tie about 1/2 inch and pull your zip tie tight. Okay, now I do use needle nose pliers to pull my zip ties tight, and these are actually tile snippers, but you can find them in the jewelry section as well. They're just like a wire cutter, but you can get right to the head much easier. But you can use just like normal wire cutters as well. Okay, so now we're going to do another petal. So you take another 10-inch piece. You're going to fold it down to the corner, swing it to the right, just because I'm right-handed. If you're left-handed, you probably swing it to the left. Okay, bring the one side down, right down the middle, bring the other side right down the middle, and scrunch it. And you can, I'm going to snip a little bit of that tail off. You're going to slide it in and put your clothespin. And now I'm going to be using the polka dot. Again, folding it in half. Now this is just a really fun way to, like, I'm a ribbon hoarder. I have so much ribbon, and I really don't use a lot of ribbon in my wreaths. I know that's a faux pas, but I like to just look at it. I don't know why. I buy ribbon, and I actually just put it on my ribbon racks and look at it. So it's getting a little bit excess now, so I was trying to figure out how I can make something fun and use up some of my ribbon. And that's when I came up with the ribbon flower. So you can have, like, if you have a ton of ribbon, you could have a lot of fun mix and matching, or just using the same color like I'm doing. Like the yellow one is so bright and cheery. I did post a picture of it on my door with the sun this morning. And even though it's very bright and cheery, it still didn't bring us any sun today. It still rained. I have this little bucket. Actually, it's just a bowl. I keep to the side, so I cut my ends of my zip ties and any of my scraps, and I put it in that bowl. That way, when I'm done my wreath, I can just empty that out. Hi, my creeker friends. Okay, so you can buy the boards. I know there's a lot of questions. There, can you actually type it in too, hon?
All pinned at the bottom.
Oh, isn't it pinned at the bottom? Okay. You can buy the boards at uniqueinthecreek.com. You can also buy it at uniqueinthecreek.ca for our Canadians. We are a Canadian company, but we do all our shipping, well, most of our shipping from the United States. So if you're hesitating because you think it's going to take a long time, it really doesn't. But we also sell from Amazon.com. We sell, I keep wanting to make a rose shape. We sell from Craft Outlet sells our boards. The tree shipment for Craft Outlet is actually on the way, so they will have the trees very shortly. And then next week they'll have the small boards. So you can get your mesh and ribbons and everything. Trendytree.com has all our boards as well. So again, you can get your mesh and ribbon and stuff. And we also have two sellers on Etsy that also sell our boards. It would be Ducks, D-U-X-N, in a row. So Ducks in Row. And Down Home Crafty Things. They are both on Etsy. And more in the Midwest. So if you're kind of in the Midwest and you don't want to order the 5-pack from Amazon, you can order from them and you'll get it a lot quicker. And Decor Exchange does not sell them, Damon. I keep bugging him. He hasn't even tried one yet. I think we should do a petition for Damon to try a Unique in the Creek board.
Give him a challenge to see if he can do one of those big huge wreaths he does on the board.
He can watch Mrs. Monkey. He can watch Michelle from Monkey's Creation. She does the big old Texas wreaths on Unique in the Creek boards with big bows. So we do have some main designers, and we have an affiliate program, which is a really, really good affiliate program. You get lots of stuff for free. See, I can't even talk and concentrate at the same time. And you even get a free t-shirt like the one I'm wearing, the Unique in the Creek one. And we feature all our designers on all our social media platforms. And we're really, really big on helping other businesses, especially if you're just starting out and you're starting out, and Unique in the Creek is really exploding in the wreathing market. So if you haven't seen them before, you will probably see a lot of it coming up. We are in talks with a craft store that everybody is familiar with, and it starts with an M. And they will be carrying all our Unique in the Creek stuff. They're hoping by fall. So we will also be in brick and mortar. So that's really cool. So we are going to get out there. So you might want to give us a try. At least give us a try. It is a lot of fun. The stuff that people make with these things is just absolutely incredible and mind-blowing. I made a huge butterfly with 2 tree boards. I put zip-tied 2 tree boards together and made this gorgeous, gorgeous butterfly. Isabel is one of our main designers from Sparkles in the ATL. She made hummingbirds. They cut the boards. Michelle from Monkey's Creation. Her and Isabel both sell kits, and she's cut the board so she made like a V in the board, so you make a beautiful butterfly. What else did they cut the board for? Isabel sliced one of the boards right in half and made a watermelon slice. I've also made a watermelon slice on a tree board. So, like, sky is the limit. And they're pretty easy. Everything is pretty much just like this. You get your supplies ready and get your zip ties all in there, and then you just bang, bang, bang. That's why I said I usually do this when I'm watching a movie or something. And I put just a piece of, like an old cutting board, not a huge one, just an old cutting board on my lap, and I use that as my surface and to fold up my mesh and my ribbons and stuff, and I just throw in my housewives of whatever and sit and relax with my feet up and make a wreath. So this is going to look really cool. So again, if you're just joining us, the petal is just you're cutting it 10 by 10 square. You're going to, I should have shut that off, that's pretty rude. You're going to bring the corner down to meet the other corner. You're going to take your side, bring the whole thing right down to the middle. Bring this other one right down to the middle, and just squeeze it up about 1/2 inch or 1 inch. And you make a tail. I'm just cutting off some of that little bit of tail so it doesn't get all frayy. I put the tail in. Now I'm putting it in to it's just about to touch the next circumference line here, and that's how I know how far to put it in. But you really don't see these petals anyways, because like I said, they're pretty much a filler just to keep your flower poofy. You get your ribbon, stick your ribbon in here.
Are you doing the draw for the other one later?
Yes. I didn't bring up the thing, but I will be doing the draw for the yellow one right after this live. So if you can't stay awake, I understand. I will post the winner for that live. And I just threw everything all over the floor. If you guys have never joined me before, I am like a very messy wreather. I like to wreath in my pajamas. I do it in my dining room. Meanwhile, I have a huge, gorgeous rec room downstairs. But I still like to craft in my dining room. They even wanted to make a studio at our office and everything. It's like, nah, I like doing it in my dining room. It's just me. All right, we're on to flower now. And if you're only doing one pattern ribbon, then you don't even have to think. You just you put a piece of mesh in, you put a piece of ribbon in, zip it up, go on to the next one. But I'm using 4 different ones, so kind of have to concentrate. You can use 1 up to 6, 8 different ribbons, whatever you want. And usually I have my petals all done as well. But I was very busy today, so I didn't really get to do my my prep like I usually do. Okay, black and white. do we have any questions? Is there any questions, hon, that have come up?
Probably a lot of them.
Oh,
Everybody, you know, people are like, they'll answer it for us.
okay. If anybody has a question and it hasn't been answered yet, I know we have a lot of creekers on here, and everybody helps everybody. So if you had a question that wasn't answered yet, type it in now, and Dave's gonna keep an eye out, and I will answer it for you. We do have a sister page, which is called Unique Wreath Makers and Workshops, and that page is just a page that everybody shares their designs that they've come up with using the Unique in the Creek boards. And there is that group, and I'm not tooting my own horn because I founded that group or anything, but that group is so amazing. Everybody helps everybody. If somebody does a wreath and people want to know how it's done, they will actually tell you. It's just a really, really good group. So if you are interested in Unique in the Creek boards, you might want to join that group to see what everybody's doing. Because we got trees in there, we got, oh my gosh, watermelons, angels, gnomes, every kind of flower you can think of.
As Monkey would say, answer the questions.
Oh yes, and make sure when you join, you answer the questions. And it's not that we want more followers or anything. That page is the only page that is only for Unique in the Creek makers. And there are people out there that only want to make Unique in the Creek wreaths. So it's not that we don't want to see everybody's wreaths, because I too make different wreaths too. Well, right now I do, but before, when I was making wreaths, it wasn't always a Unique in the Creek. Depending what I was doing, I would use a wire one or whatever. But there is so many groups out there now that you can share your wireframe creations on, but there's none for just Unique in the Creek. So that's why we came up with that group, and we just ask that when you join, that you realize that group is just for Unique in the Creek.
Is that 2-inch ribbon?
Wreath. Yeah, it's 2.5-inch ribbon. All of them, all 4 of them.
Okay, do you want to explain why we're not doing the awareness ribbon wreath frames?
The what? Okay. I didn't know we were supposed to, but...
No, somebody keeps asking, and it's just hard
okay,
to decide.
so it may just look like a plastic board with holes. There is a lot involved in making these frames. The holes are strategically placed in the places they are for reasons. Now, saying that, to make them into plastic, we have to get a mold made. It's a casting mold that the factory uses, okay? And they make them with the recycled pellets. Now, the mold to make at the factory, the mold costs, well, just for instance, this flower mold costs almost $20,000 US. Okay, that's basically why we don't have every shape that there is, because they're very expensive. They're very expensive just to make the mold. So the mold is actually made in China. We tried to get it made in Canada and or the United States, but it was triple that. So the mold is made in China. However, the mold is then flown here to Canada, and we make them right in Canada. So it's not that we don't want to make an awareness wreath form. It's the wreath forms that we have been making are more utilized than an awareness one. And there already is an awareness wreath frame that you could, well, you wouldn't be able to do it like this, but it may come down the line. But right now, you know, the next wreath frame that we are getting ready to do is the cross. And the cross is because we have some funeral homes that are interested, so we need to, we're not even doing the cross in wood. The cross is going right to plastic. So the small flower mold is done already, so they will be working on the cross one next. And like I said, it's expensive, and we pride ourselves on the fact that we have no debt. So we save our money, and we pay for the molds cash. So we buy what we can afford. That's pretty much it. So, is there any other questions? Okay, so we're on row 3. Oh, I didn't trim that tail, did I? So it is much easier if you have, so usually what I do is I make my petals, and I have a huge bucket of clothespins. And I make a bunch of petals, and I clothespin the ends, and that way when the petal's done, I can just whip them in.
10 by 10, what size is it?
Yes, the mesh is 10 by 10. I don't know why I keep putting that over there. And you can see you really don't see a lot of the mesh. And that's why you can use a cheaper mesh, and use, you know, focus more on the ribbons themselves, because that's pretty much what you're going to see. And I will show you the roll, each roll of ribbon. So each of these rolls I opened up brand new, and because I did 4 different colors, if I could probably do 3 of these full flowers with the 4 ribbon rolls I opened. And I'll show you what I mean, because I didn't really use, oh, now I'm used to putting it over there. I didn't really use a lot of the ribbon. Okay, let's open this up. Okay. So they're 10-yard rolls, and they're 2.5-inch rolls, and I pretty much only used a quarter of the roll. And that's because I used 4 colors. Now, if you were doing this whole thing with just this ribbon, it would probably just take you 1 roll, and you could do the whole flower. So it depends, you know, what, how expensive your ribbon is and stuff. And that's pretty much how you would price your flower. If you're using expensive DuPont ribbon, of course your flower is going to be much more expensive than if you used ribbon from like Hobby Lobby or something. So
we also have, as people saying, go to our webpage and see the pins I made. We also have a Pinterest page.
yes, our Pinterest page is fabulous, fabulous. Our Pinterest guru is Courtney, and she has been doing really, it's getting out there. So if you do post on Unique Wreath Makers and Workshops, Courtney does go in there, and she will pull pictures from that Facebook page and put them on Pinterest, and she will link your Etsy shop or your website or wherever people need to go to buy that wreath from you. So we do help you with our social media, getting your name out there as well. And I think we're up to almost 1 million views this month or something, aren't we?
Almost 800,000,
Yeah, so it's getting there. We do feature creators of the day, and those are people from our, again, our Unique Wreath Makers page. So if you, like I said, if you are interested in this type of wreathing, which is really good to, you know, you want to be diversified. You know, it's okay to do different kinds of wreaths, because then you get different types of customers. Then you get all different kinds of customers, and not just one type of customer. So you may have a customer that likes flower wreaths and doesn't want like a big, huge Texas wreath, because all our wreaths fit between 2 doors. And up here in Canada, that is a really good thing, because most people up here do have storm doors, and we have such different weather. So we got the 4 seasons, and you really don't want to have your wreath right out in the weather element. I know my door, I have a storm door, and I don't have a porch overhang. So if I put my wreath on the glass part of the door, the rain, the snow, everything will hit it right away. So
What's the name of that pedal you're doing?
I don't think it has a name. We don't really have an. It looks like a spade. I don't know. I've never really named it. It just, I don't know. We need to come up with names for everything. I used it a lot on the Gerbera and Daisy tutorial. I used this fold. So you can either use this side. Now, don't mind the fray and everything. It's like I said, this is not the greatest mesh, but it is great to use it up. You can use the side with the fold so you see the seam, or you can use it with it down so you don't see the seam. I'm just using it down right now because the ribbon covers it all anyways. I hope I'm doing this right. Bubble. Bubble. So we want checkered. Oh, I need to cut more checkered. So again, the ribbon is 14 inches long. And instead of dovetailed, we are going almost like a necktie. Not sure if that's a name of it, but normally people don't even cut it that way. But for this, we are going to. Now I am going to do row 1, which is the very outside row, and I'm going to do it after I get all my ribbons in. Now, it's not hard to pull the zip ties or anything. Like I said, I have problems with my hands. So it's actually much easier than actually using pipe cleaners. So I have my needle nose pliers. You can use a zip tie gun thing to tighten them. I've used them before, and I keep breaking mine, and I thought, screw it, I'm done. I'll just keep using my needle nose pliers. Okay, we are almost done this row, and then we have one more row, and then we are going to figure out a center that we're going to put in here. Why does it feel like I'm like doing something backwards here? Because I can't count. So we do also have character boards, and our character boards are kind of like our flower boards. They're the same concept, sort of, but the holes on the outside, they go a different way. The inside of the character board is actually all one, there's no holes in it. And why that is because we have about 400 digital images that you can purchase. So they're like $4. Most people wait until we have a buy one get one free sale, and what you do is you purchase it. It gets emailed right to your email, and once you purchase it, it's yours forever. So you print out, and there's instructions and tutorials on how to do it and everything, but you can send it to Staples or Office Max or wherever you have and get it printed out. And you use about like a 32-pound paper, not a cardstock or anything, but a little thicker paper. And you print them out, and then you cut it out, so there's a really faint circle around the image, and you Mod Podge it right onto your board. So it becomes your board and your frame becomes all one piece. So your board and your sign, no, your frame and your sign, come on, Lord. Your frame and your sign are all one piece. So you then decorate around the outside. So I've done all different kinds. Like I said, we have, I think I'm up towards almost 200 tutorials or teaching things or whatever you want to call it on the Unique in the Creek. So we have a horse board, which people are doing horses and unicorns. We have a tree board that you pretty much can turn it into anything, but the main thing is like the Christmas tree. We have the flower board, we have the character board, and as of hopefully the end of this week, we will have the small flower in plastic as well. And then in June, hopefully, it will be the cross. Okay, we're on our last section here. And again, I'd like to thank Damon for inviting me on just to show everybody, just, you know, there's a different way that you can wreath. It's not just, you know, the wire frame. I did come out with this. I have this whole thing has been about a 5-year process for me. And last year at this time was the first year I actually came out into the United States with my invention. So I've been using it for a long, long time, but you guys have not seen it because I had to wait for all my ducks to be in a row to get, so I could sell it into the United States. And you know, there's patents and copyrights and all that fun stuff that comes with an idea like this. So we had to wait for all that to come through before we could actually start selling in the United States. So, and I started this as my own little project so I could make wreaths on my lap. And then it's like, well, I made so many wreaths that nobody really wanted any of my wreaths anymore. So I started selling them just on buy and sell sites. And then there was a few people asking if I would come and show them how to make them. So I started doing little workshops, you know, at Michael's, because you can get the room free at Michael's. So I started off in a room of like, you know, 6 people, then it went up to about 12 people, and it just kept snowballing till I was teaching venues of like 200 people at a time. So I did prove that it worked. So I had to do all kinds of proving before I actually brought it into the United States. So there was quite the process that we had to do before we could market it. And here we are, almost in one of the largest crafting stores. So I am a walking testament that if you can put your mind to something and follow through and don't give up and don't listen to haters, you can do anything. Because I just kept going. I didn't listen to anybody. I even had, like, you know, friends and family like, oh, what are you doing with that now? And, you know, they kind of laughed. Nobody's laughing now. They're not laughing now. But I am quite proud of myself because I really had to reinvent myself. I really did. I had 3 back surgeries that almost paralyzed me. And I was told I was not allowed to go back to work because I couldn't sit. And it's like, oh, shoot, what am I going to do now? And then after about 1.5 years of being depressed because my life was pretty much nothing anymore, because I went from being an administrator at a big university here in Canada to doing nothing, watching Judge Joe Brown and Judge Judy. So you're never too old to reinvent yourself. And don't let anybody tell you anything different. which is, I'm so grateful for my family and everything, and especially for the fact that I can show my kids what it's like, you know, when life gives you lemons. Seriously, when life gives you lemons, I showed them, you make lemonade. You don't give up, and if you have a dream, you just keep going. And don't let anybody tell you different. Anyways, we're almost done here. Dave's left the comments, so he's not reading anything yet. Yes, that we have such a great group of creekers. They are so fabulous. It's quite, we have quite the community unique in the creek. I'm just so grateful for all of them. And all the new ones that are hopping on, and I get tons of message saying thank you, you know, giving us different way to wreath, and a lot of people are in the same boat as me and have a little hard time because they have a disability and now they can wreath still. So those are why I get up in the morning and why I keep doing what I'm doing. This is turning out fabulous. Okay, wait till I put the center on and then you guys will be like, oh my goodness. And I keep knocking my mesh down. So if I'm not talking and gabbing and everything, I can whip out these wreaths probably in about a half an hour, 40 minutes. I think the hardest part is trying to remember my combination of ribbons that I'm going to use. So it's much easier if you're just using two, or the easiest is if you're using one. Then you don't have to remember anything. If you're using two, then you just have to remember to go back and forth, back and forth. When you're using four, you have to actually stop and like, So as you can see, the actual deco mesh is not the star of the show. It's just giving us some fullness and a filler. And that's why I say if you have some mesh that's not the greatest quality, and we all have it, because sometimes when you order online you really don't know what you're going to get. And I definitely wouldn't use this mesh for anything else, but because it just frays, but it's great for this project. And this is only the second wreath. I think I called this the ribbon wreath yesterday because it's the second time I made it. I try and come up with new designs at least once or twice a month. But I'm starting to run out of ideas. So then I was looking at my ribbon rack thinking, oh my gosh, what can I do with some of these ribbons? Now I do make normal wreaths with the ribbons and the bows and all that stuff. But I wanted to make, the flower thing is like a huge thing right now.
Will you spray that?
Yes, I will spray it, and I'll show you what I'm going to spray it with. So I wanted to use up some of my pretty ribbon, and I wanted to make sure that you could see the pretty ribbon. Now, it's not terribly expensive ribbon or anything, but... And black and white is like the in color. And if you use black and white, you can pretty much put any color center in the middle. So if it's going on a red door, you could have a black and white flower wreath with a red center. Will tie in for your red door. Okay, so black and white, we're almost done, yay!
Wired ribbon?
If you don't use wire ribbon, you'll find that your ribbon's going to fall forward and fall wonky. So yes, I would say you'd need wired ribbon.
It's the ribbon canvas.
This one is a canvas. This one's more like a linen. This is more like a silk. And this is also, that's a more of a linen. So I've used a combination of all of them. I just liked the colors. And like I said, you don't have to use 4 different colors like I did.
Can we teach a class using the boards at Michael's or Hobby Lobby?
You can. Oh, you going to bed? Night, lovey. Yes, you can. I actually had, when we were in talks with the M store, they were asking about teaching classes, getting some of our affiliates and stuff to do some teaching in their classrooms and stuff like that. So we're working on something with that. But right now, yes, you can most definitely. Okay, what color was it that I needed here? Okay, bubble. Oh, checker. Thank God, I don't have to think anymore. I'm done. I've done that. These are really easy. I know a lot of our designers and affiliates are doing Facebook Lives, and then after the Facebook Live, they're selling the kits, which is a fabulous idea. We did start that at the beginning when we started Unique in the Creek, but it took off so fast that we couldn't keep up. But there is people that want to make their own thing because, you know, in this time, day and age, everything's technology and people forget how to use their hands. So there is people that do want to make their own, but they don't want to run around and get all the supplies, and they're not sure what supplies to get. So when you're selling the kits, it works out wonderfully because they can still make their own and you just get the supplies for them. And then they just re-watch your Facebook Live. So it's helping you get your name out there, and they are making their own. Okay, this is what we got so far. Is that not like pretty? Now, I do have 3 different centers, and we'll mix and match so you guys can see just the difference of the centers. Like I said, I have step-by-step pictures on how I made each of these centers, and I will post them on this DIY Deco Exchange DIY page, so you guys can, if you want, you can see, you can make your own center and do a wreath like me. Now, I did want to do a little extension of the petals, which just gives it the wreath a little bit larger look. Now, we didn't use, I did one up here, but you'll see on section 1, there's these outside holes. There's 8 of them. We're going to do a petal on here, and it's going to make the wreath a little bit bigger, but we're not going to put any ribbon. You can see there's that one petal, so it just gives it a little bit more extension. Now, you can do this row, or you don't have to do this row. It's totally up to you. If you're shipping, you may not want to do it because then you can contain the wreath in a smaller box. Where did my thing go? So maybe I'll just do a few of these. So you're going to do the same exact petal fold, but this time we're going to put a zip tie at the end of the petal. So you're just going to scrunch it, and I'm going to put a zip tie at the end of this. Okay, now I'm not going to do it super, super tight because I'm going to put another zip tie going through this. Now I'll flip this upside down so you guys can see what I'm talking about. And I'm going to skip this hole. I'm going to go to this one. You're going to put your zip tie through this one, and what we're going to do is we're going to go from the zip tie around the outside of the board. Okay. Okay, so I got my seam down. I'm going to, this is upside down, so I'm going to make sure that this tail is still going to go in towards the center of the wreath. I'm going to feed the zip tie through the back of this zip tie that's around the bottom of the petal. Okay, zip it so I hear that zip sound, and now I'm going to take this one and pull it really tight, cut it off. Again, you don't have to do this section if you don't want. It does make it a little bit bigger, and now we're going to cut that off. So when you flip it over, there it is right there. So it's extended our flower just a little bit more. So I'm just going to do 2 more pieces, and then we're going to do the center, and we're done. So you can still see how nice and neat the back is. So we don't have to cover up a mess or anything. So again, and believe it or not, I believe our rose, Unique Creek rose, is one of the easier flowers. I think everybody else will agree. The rose and the sunflower is probably one of the easier flowers to start out with. Like, I would not start out with the daffodil or the peony. The daisy's pretty easy too. But on our YouTube, I believe Tanya, who's our administrative director, she has categorized the different flowers on expertise. Now, we're not talking it's rocket science or anything like that. Like, beginners have done the daffodil on their first one, but it's a lot easier to kind of ease into it and get used to working with the boards before you step up to, like, say something like the peony or something. But the rose, if you're wanting to try one of these, the rose and the sunflower, pretty much no fail. Character boards are so much fun because you can do so many different, we just have so many different centers. And like I said, if you're doing a workshop and you buy one center, say of the Santa face, you only need to buy it once, and you can print out like 30 of them and do a workshop, Mod Podge the 30 faces onto the character boards, and then have your attendees decorate the hair, and you can show them how to put the Santa Claus hat on. Actually, at the Crafters Convention last year, I taught, I think there was about 300 or 200 and something people there, but I taught everybody how to make snowman, and they put a hat on, and they did the, you know, it wasn't the greatest, but you know, they got the gist and they had a lot of fun. Even the husbands did it, so it was a lot of fun. This year I am teaching a rose. We're all doing a rose at the Crafters Convention. Okay, so I didn't put a hanging on this one because I did it on the one I was demonstrating. So we're just going to put through the 2 holes there, hanging. Now you can do ribbon, you can do twine, you can do string, you can do whatever you want for your hanging hole. Okay, so let's fix these ribbons. Alright, I'm going to move this stuff out of the way. And then we'll decide on the center, and we are done. So again, you can get your mesh. If you buy on Amazon you have to buy 5 packs. That's the only way they would sell it. But you get them Amazon fast. So if you do buy them on Amazon, you can get your mesh and your ribbons at Deco Exchange. If you go on Craft Outlet, you can buy your ribbons and mesh and boards at Craft Outlet and Trendy Tree. If you're in the north or in the Midwest, you can get them from the stores on Etsy. So they're pretty much everywhere. Alright, so now we're going to flick on our hot glue. And I use Gorilla Glue. I know Damon uses the big industrial glue. I just have a small glue stick, so, and I don't use a ton of glue. So I always use Gorilla Glue, and I find Gorilla Glue, it works amazing. It holds up really well. and I never have anything really fall off. So I'm happy with it, but you can use, I would not recommend using like dollar store glue or even glue from Michael's or Hobby Lobby, like their name brand, because it's not the greatest. And that's the last thing you want is, you know, somebody messaging you that their stuff fell off. I know a lot of people, once they put their center on, so we'll show you. Look how cute this is, even with just a yellow, pop of yellow. So you can put your glue all around in here and in the center. Put your center on and you hold it, or you can put something heavy on it. And then you can also, and I don't have any, and I wish I did, you know the U pins for floral? Once you have it glued on and everything, the floral U pins fit exactly into these holes. So you could put 4 floral pins into those holes with the glue, and then you could probably even add a little bit of glue to keep the floral pins also in there, and that center is not coming off. Now I think that is really cute. What does everybody else think? So we got this center, and I have this pick. I wasn't sure if I was going to use it. It's got these little bumblebees on them. Now I don't use the whole pick, but I was going to cut the bumblebee off and maybe just glue him on the flower. That kind of looks really cute. Let's see, where's the top? We can glue him right here. Okay, so this is the pom-pom center. So it's made with pom-poms, and pom-poms come in every color. These are 1-inch pom-poms from Hobby Lobby. I used 1 whole pack, and the package was 99 cents on sale. So that's the pom-pom. This one is just a, it's called a fabric fur trim, and now in the pictures, there's actual picture of the trim, so you can see exactly what it's called. And it's just a 6.5-inch piece of foam. And I just happen to have yellow because I was doing the yellow one yesterday. So that, again, the yellow is nice and fun. With a black and white wreath, you can do whatever color center you want. Everything will match, right? But then I thought, if you want something really elegant looking, you can have something like this. Now, we wouldn't put the bee on it because it makes it too whimsical. But look, move all this, make sure all the spaces are covered. All right. Look how beautiful and elegant that looks with the diamond center. I don't know if you guys can see that. Can you guys see that, hun? Mm-hmm. Sorry, I haven't been really reading. You love the pom-pom. What does everybody think? These are not Lomi pins, actually. I have done a Lomi pin center. I just find it really time-consuming and expensive. These are actually, I wish I had the package. I do, when I post the pictures, you will see the package of these that I used in the picture. I have to pull some of this glue off. They're actually just little acrylic gems from the dollar store, and I glued them on a half ball, and this ball is 6 inches, so it's just a half ball, and I just started and kept going around and around. It took me it took me a little bit, but I sat and watched a movie while I was doing it. And I used 5 packs of these acrylic gems, and that, like I said, they were only $1, so it cost me $5, and then a couple dollars for the styrofoam. But I think fuzzy material, the silver, the fur center, they all look great. I know, I don't know which one to pick. This you would do if you want it nice and elegant. You could put a little butterfly or whatever. So this is very elegant looking, and it's very light. Then we got the fur. It's just like a fun fur, and again it's yellow, but it's got different shades of yellow. And then we have a pom-pom. I don't know. I think I'm going to do, I think I'm going to keep this elegant because I do have the yellow one that's really fun looking. And I was going to put my little sunglasses on him, make a sun with his eyeballs. He actually looks like an emoji. So you can have fun with this one. So that totally makes it all different. It makes it totally look different again. Or you can keep it as a flower. I actually think, because this one's so elegant looking, I actually think I am going to use this, the gem one. I don't know if I'm going to put a bee on it. I do have little butterflies that are a little bit more elegant looking downstairs. So when I do pictures, I'll put different things on it. Let me clean up my horrible mess here. I got to be the second messiest crafter. I think Damon would be the first. Sorry, Damon. But I'm right behind you. All right, so we got... I thought one of these fell off somewhere. Okay. Hopefully this is hot enough. So I just want to make sure all my ribbons are where they're supposed to be. Okay, so now I'm going to put hot glue on each of these ends on the ribbons, like the nubbins there, because I definitely know the styrofoam is going to hit there. Okay, it's not the hottest. And I am going to go and buy some more floral pins tomorrow. And we want to make sure it's centered here. And none of the ribbons are caught underneath, because once it's glued, it's glued. Oh my gosh, this is so pretty. And we're going to hold that down. Now after this is dried, you could then flip it over. And like I said, I don't have any of the pins, but you guys know the U-shaped pins. They're square, or they're actually, some of them are rounded. They fit exactly into these holes. So you can put some hot glue onto the prongs of those floral pins and then push it right in to the styrofoam and do 4 of them. Then you can put a little bit of glue once the pins are in, and that center is not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere now.
What size is that styrofoam ball? 6 inch?
This styrofoam ball is a 6-inch styrofoam half ball. I believe I bought it at Hobby Lobby. Now you can buy a full ball. It's actually cheaper to get a full ball. We actually have a dollar store here in Canada called Dollarama, and they sell the nice big full balls. And if you have a styrofoam cutter, you can get 2 of them for $1. But this one, particular one, I did get at Hobby Lobby. All right. And that is our ribbon flower wreath. So, if you are a hoarder of ribbon like me, get your ribbons out and start using them and make something spectacular. I have to go around and pull out my ribbons. And use your mesh up that you've been storing away because it's not the greatest. And here's a fun way to do. So we got a more elegant one and a fun one, which is going to be a sun. This is actually going to be a giveaway from our Mother's Day contest yesterday, and I'm going to do the giveaway as soon as we're done here. So we're going to give this away, and I might give this away. We'll have to see. So what does everybody think? I hope you guys are liking it. Again, you can buy the Unique in the Creek. This is the large flower board at uniqueinthecreek.com.ca, Amazon.com, trendytree.com, craftoutlet.com, and on Etsy you can get it on Down Home Crafty Things and Ducks in Row, and also in the UK you can get them at Luscious Lobbies.
There's 3 full boards.
Now this wreath I probably wouldn't put out right outside because it's ribbon. I wouldn't want the ribbon to get all ruined. I would, however, have no problem putting it out my front door because I do have a storm door, and I would put it in between, but I definitely would spray it. I spray all my wreaths because deco mesh is weatherproof or weather resistant. Like, you know, it stands rain and everything else, and so do our boards, and so do the zip ties, but they do fade. So they, you'll want to spray any of your wreaths that is going to be hitting the sunlight, because not all of our, we call our Unique in the Creek, they're not just for doors, they are for wall decor too. Like, so if you have a black and white bedroom, this would look stunning above your bed or something, you know, with a nice saying below or something like that. But if you are to put it on your door, you're going to want to protect it with a UV sun guard. This particular one is clear, non-yellowing, and it's used for color fading, peeling, cracking for polyresin, wood, metal, cement, plastic, etc. They have another, I got this one at Hobby Lobby. You can get it on in Amazon, you can get it in Lowe's, you can get it at Home Depot. I'm not sure if they sell it at Michael's. But they also have another one too. It's got a blue lid, and I did post the link on Unique Wreath Makers and Workshops. The blue one is a UV protectant and a sealant. So it would seal, you know, it would give your ribbon a little bit more extra seal or protection, I should say, for your ribbon that's not really technically weather resistant. So it would help with that. And same with your pom-poms. Like, you don't want your pom-poms to get soaking wet. It may mildew or mold. I have done a gazillion centers with deco tubing and straight deco mesh. So the whole wreath is weather resistant because I like to put them out by my pool. For that, I would just use the UV so it doesn't fade. If I was using it outside and had pom-poms, I would definitely want the sealant as well, so the rain couldn't affect it. Although pom-poms, I don't know how much sealant, you'd probably have to use a ton of sealant to not make the pom-poms wet, but anyways, that is our ribbon wreath, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. And if you have never seen Unique in the Creek, go give us a little peek on our website, uniqueinthecreek.com. Our Facebook page is Unique in the Creek Limited, and again, the our sister page is Unique Wreath Makers and Workshops, which is everybody shares in their ideas, and it's just a fabulous group.
And our Pinterest page.
Oh, and our Pinterest page. Check out the Pinterest page. You guys can see everything people are doing all in one shot. You will be amazed of what's going on.